Hello everyone, welcome back to part 3 of modeling the decorative box for Maya 2015. Okay, so we've already created our reference images and we've modeled out the basis of our box. We still need to add in the inset for our lid and we still need to build in the feet. So let's take care of the inset first. Right now, we're still in orthographic view, but let's jump into our 4 panel and then to our 3D space here. So where this edge is right now is this one right here. This is where our lid needs to be. So we're going to kind of build in an inset for that. Jumping back into our 4 panel, you can mainly see that's got this nice little wedge where the lid needs to be right here. So we're going to add in some more geometry to be able to kind of define this area. I'm going to do that with edge loops. So I have edge loops on my shelf. You can also go to your mesh toolkit and go to insert edge loop tool. But since I have it on my shelf, I'm going to continue using that. Also, once you have it activated once, your last tool that you've used will be right here as an icon. So I'm going to drop in one edge loop right where the edge of this wedge starts. So I'm going to drop one in right here. I'm going to drop in another right there. And now I'm going to kind of adjust the geometry because this spot right here actually pushes out just a little bit. I want to make sure that before I start pushing things in that it lines up the best it can. Okay. Okay. Alright, so now I'm going to grab this vertex here that's in the middle here, and I'm actually going to set it in right in the bottom of the wedge. Also going to grab these vertexes here and bring them up just a little bit. Okay, so now that I have kind of like the wedge area here defined, from the front view it shouldn't change a whole bunch. After that, yeah. So this doesn't change at all. Go back to our side view here, but we want more than just this wedge here. We want there to actually look like there is an inset going on here where the to kind of give you the illusion that the lid is completely separate. So there's 2 ways you can do that. You can extract the lid and make it its own object, but that kind of creates its own issues when it comes to texturing. So we're not going to do that. We're going to add in a couple more edge loops so that we can kind of push in the geometry a little bit. So we're going to add one kind of right at the bottom here, right below this edge in the middle, and then we're going to do one right on top as well. Okay, and what that's going to do for us is going to make it to where I can scale this edge in here a little bit, and it'll make it to where I can, or we can extrude it in and make it to where it actually holds an inset. So I'm first going to grab this vertex here because this is also kind of want to keep with this curvature the best we can. So I'm going to go to translate, activate my vertex mode, select this vertex right here and kind of pull it out a little bit. That way it kind of still holds with this little curvature just a little bit more better than it was before. Good. Okay, so now I'm going to go with the extrude method to begin with. I'm going to jump back into my perspective view when I'm doing this part, make sure it looks right. That base goes all the way around. Okay, so let's just try the extrude method first. I'm going to extrude in that base loop. So all I did to get all these faces, I selected one, Q to get on my translate tool, and now that I had one selected, I just shift, double clicked on the face next to it, and that just, it'll either select everything like that, or it'll select the loop that's connected to. So now it's selected the loop. Okay. I think that if you accidentally click 3 times is when it selects everything. Okay, so we're going to extrude in, and I don't think we've used the extrude tool yet. So let's go ahead and take a look at the extrude tool. I'm going to go to Mesh Tools, and then there is the extrude tool right here. It's also on the shelf. I kind of prefer to use this one. I'm hoping that this one doesn't dump me back into the modeling toolkit version of the extrude. Again, they're different than the originals. So there we go. The extrude tool has been activated. Nothing looks like it has happened yet, but it has. What has happened is those faces that we're looking at right now, new faces have been attached that connect to these guys on all sides. So we can push this in, and there'll be faces that will follow it in. That's kind of how the extrude works. The dangerous part here is to look at this and think that nothing has happened and hit your extrude tool again, because then you'll have faces laying on top of faces, and it turns into a big mess really quick, and it's hard to untangle. So this is the part you want to slow down and make sure that when you do it correctly. That way you don't have any kind of accidents. I can't tell you how many times I've spent time with students trying to unravel their accidental double extrudes. Okay, so right now you're looking at it and it has the gizmo to where like the angle of the Y axis is kind of pointing down this angle. That isn't really going to help us, so we're going to this little arrow up here is kind of telling us right now it's at a local axis angle. We're going to switch this to the world axis, which snaps it to the middle of our object here where the extrude is. And now we're going to click on this box. Now what we're looking at here with this gizmo here, because this maybe get a little confusing for you guys if you haven't seen this before, because it looks like any of our normal manipulators. But we have our arrow, which is our translate. We have our boxes for our scale, and then this little ring going around the outside is our rotate gizmo. And basically what it's giving you is all of our manipulators in one tool here, so you can take your extrude and kind of finesse it however you need to finesse it. But just knowing what you're trying to do here with our extrude will make sure you don't have any kind of happy accidents. So for instance, if you accidentally were to grab the arrow and push it around, it pushes it on both sides. But that isn't what we want. Most of the time when you're doing something like this and you're trying to do an inset, you're going to want to be dealing with the scale. So we're going to click this little box on the top here, and that'll activate our scale function of our extrude tool. And we're going to select the teal box at the center. That'll make it to where it scales in all directions evenly. So we'll grab that one in the middle, left mouse button on it, and hold down and drag just slightly, and it'll pull those faces inward. Okay, so now we have a nice little inset for our box. So let's go back to our object mode. We're pretty much done with our inset here. And if you want to preview this box at any time, you can press 3, and that will give you your smooth preview. Go ahead and save this. It's been a little while since we've saved, so go to File, Save Scene, Continue. And then if you want to press 3, it'll give you a smooth preview, but what it did is it made it into looks like a little round ottoman looking thing. And that's just because when you go to smooth, if it doesn't have enough geometry, it tries to round everything out. We'll add some new geometry in a little bit, and it'll make it to where it doesn't quite look like this. It'll hold its shape a lot better. Okay. Let's look at dealing with the bottom part here. This will actually, so the book would like you to do use a specific tool that would create the geometry necessary for the feet. By doing that on the bottom exclusively makes it to where you end up with n-gons on the top. So we're going to actually run the geometry up and over the entire model. That way we end up having some more geometry, which will help hold the shape of our model when we smooth it, and we won't end up with n-gons on the side. So n-gons being excuse me, any piece of geometry like this one here, this face here is a quad. It has 4 edges, 4 corners. So our triangle obviously has 3, and anything more than 4 they just call n-gons, and n-gons are typically bad for game engines and for anything else. So typically, in most cases, you don't deal with geometry, or you try to correct geometry that has more than 4 sides. Anyways, so we're not going to intentionally create n-gons like the book would ask us to. Okay, so jump into our Insert Edge Loop tool. Like I said, I have mine on the shelf. If you forgot where yours is at, it's underneath Mesh Tools, Insert Edge Loop tool. Okay, so in this case, we're actually going to use more than one edge loop per side because we would need to create some geometry on the bottom. Oops, I think I got underneath the image planes there. Yep, that's what happened. I'm just going to turn my image planes off for a second. So I'll go to my channel box, turn visibility off. I'm going to create some edge loops along the bottom here to kind of match up with our reference images so that I can have some geometry to extrude out my feet. So again, go back in my edge loop tool here, turn back on visibility for my reference images. Okay, I'm going to go back in my 4-panel view. Go away. There we go. Spacebar here. Where are my inserts? There it is. Okay, so I want to turn on multi-loops because I want 2 to be dropped in. So I'm going to turn on multi-loops. There's 2. I'll drop in 2 right in here. And they went up and over and connected on both sides, which is fine. Now I'm going to scale these 2 edges away from each other so that so is what you would think you'd want to do if you're a new person working with modeling. I'm going to translate these edges one at a time over and kind of get them to line up. But since I'm trying to get them to both line up symmetrically, I'm going to use my scale tool. So I'll turn on R for scale. And if I activate my scale tool and push it off in the x-axis, it pushes them away from each other. And that's how I can do some symmetrical modeling here with these edge loops. Okay. So there, I got 2 edge loops on this side. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So we're going to switch my side view here, and then I will drop 2 more edge loops in. Activate my Insert Edge Loop tool one more time. Select the bottom edge here. Just drops them in. I'm going to use the scale to push them apart. That's good. Okay. Alright. Now we're ready to extrude out these bottom feet. Nope. Going back to my 4-panel view. Actually, I'm just going to my perspective view here. Now, these bottom feet, I'm going to go into face mode to extrude them out. So, holding down right mouse button on my object, go to my face, select each one of these 4 corners here. Those are going to be my faces. And then I'm going to go back into my orthographic views, because when I extrude down, I want to make sure that I don't extrude past where the feet are on the bottom here. So I'll hit extrude. Going down, that about lines it up. That's good. Now we got to do some final tweaks on these feet because they do have a little bit of curvature themselves. So we're going to exit our extrude tool. You can hit Q or this little arrow, that'll get you out of that tool. I'll start out my side view here. I'm going to go to vertex mode, so holding down right mouse button on my object, go to vertex mode, and put a little marquee box around this corner here. Hit W to translate, and I will line it up kind of with what looks like. And if you want to turn ghost off, if you're having trouble kind of seeing this, I know that the pictures are a little bit blurry, so it's a little difficult. Okay. Just going to do it on both sides here. Just checking, making sure that everything looks good. Okay, so I'm satisfied with this view. Now I'm going to jump over to my other view. Okay. All right. That looks okay. Okay. So everything looks okay now at the feet. I'll pop back out of here. Oops. I think that's switched around somehow. Okay. So now our box is kind of basically modeled out. It still will not hold its shape perfectly yet. So I added in a little bit more geometry to kind of get it to hold its shape. Um, we're going to select this edge loop here, and this is going to create an end gun. The book asked you to do this. You can do it this way, or you can add in some insert edge loops instead if you prefer to retain your polygons. So let's say you want to go the way the book asked you to do it. So let's say you went ahead and did a bevel here. So you go to the bevel tool and show modeling toolkit. Take this down to 2. So now on the top here you have this, it's a triangle right here, it's an end-gon over here, so and it's the same thing on the bottom here. So you ended up with this little bit of a rounded side here, but I think that is sloppy modeling. If I can pick a better way, I will. If I wasn't planning on smoothing this, and I was just planning on adding a bevel and leaving the geometry alone, then I might go that route. But since I am, I'm going to go ahead and drop in an edge loop on the side. Oops, but not with multi-loops. Open up the submenu for your insert edge loop. And all I did here is I just double click the icon that made it to where it opened up my submenu over here. Go back to relative distance and add in an edge loop on this side and on this side. Oops, that one was a little bit far out there. There we go. Basically what I'm doing now is I'm just adding them near the edges that I want to retain their shape. So when I smooth it, it doesn't knock or try to pull in that geometry. So there we go. Good. One around the bottom. Okay, I think that will actually hold it. I'm gonna add one around the top and bottom of the feet. That will ensure that the feet hold their geometry fairly well. By geometry, I mean shape. I misspoke. Okay, so go back to my selection tool here. And now I've added in a decent amount of geometry, so when you hit smooth preview, everything looks a little bit rounded, and that's kind of what we're after. And all the feet and everything's holding its shape the way it should. Everything's kind of softened on the edges. That's perfect. Okay, so now we are ready to well, let's see here. How much time I got? We're at 20 minutes. So we're going to have to save the texturing part for our last lesson. And but we are done with the modeling phase. All we really have to do is just to subdivide our geometry to get a smoother look. But I'm going to do that after I lay out the UVs for the texture, which I'll show you guys how to do in the next lesson. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next lesson.